There is a power in silence. There is a fire that burns quietly within you, a flame so bright that no storm, no wind, no clamor of the world can extinguish it. And yet, you spend so many years looking outward, seeking approval, chasing the echoes of voices that do not belong to you. Today I say to you, there is another way, a higher path, a path that is walked alone, yet never lonely. Focus on yourself. Focus on the growth, the healing, the becoming that is your birthright. When you walk in the direction of your own light, when you cultivate the garden of your own soul, the world will stop and take notice whether you ask it to or not. Do not mistake this call for selfishness. It is not to be confused with neglect or indifference. It is not a retreat from life, it is a gathering of strength. To focus on yourself is to honor the intricate weaving of your own story, to cherish the fragile, sacred pieces of your own heart. When you lift yourself, you lift others. When you heal yourself, you offer a mirror of hope to those around you. There will always be voices, voices that whisper doubt, voices that judge your pauses, your choices, the very rhythm of your breath. Ignore them. Do not bend to the weight of someone else's fears, their insecurities, their limitations. Your life is yours to live. Your voice is yours to raise. Your soul is yours to nourish. When you step into the quiet center of yourself, when you embrace your own worth, you shock everyone, not with anger, not with defiance, but with the undeniable brilliance of a life fully tended, fully lived. Think of the times you have scattered your energy, giving pieces of yourself to those who could not see the value in you. The hands you have held that offered nothing but emptiness. The hearts you have tried to fill when your own heart was yearning to be whole. Those days are behind you. Today you plant seeds in your own soil. You water them with care. You shield them from the storms, and you watch as your own garden blooms in ways that defy expectation. There is no greater surprise than a person who stands in their own power, unshaken by the trivial tides of others' opinions. There is no louder voice than the one that speaks without apology, the one that moves without fear, the one that shines because it has known darkness and has chosen to rise anyway. This is the power of focusing on yourself. This is the quiet rebellion of a life lived authentically, unapologetically, beautifully. You will discover parts of yourself you never knew existed. There will be mornings when the sun seems to rise just for you, and nights when the stars arrange themselves in patterns that mirror your dreams. You will find your rhythm, your song, the pulse of your own becoming. And with each discovery, the world will watch, stunned, unable to understand how you continue to thrive without permission, without validation, without fear. There is freedom in solitude, in the sacred moments where you sit with your thoughts and listen to your own heartbeat. There is wisdom in these quiet moments, wisdom that cannot be taught by anyone else. You will learn the language of your own soul, and it will speak to you with clarity, with honesty, with courage. This is the knowledge that no one can take from you. This is the treasure of turning inward, of tending to the garden that is your own life. And as you focus on yourself, you will become magnetic. Not because you seek attention, but because authenticity is a light that cannot be hidden. People will be drawn to your strength, to your calm, to the unshakable confidence that comes from knowing your own worth. Some will wonder, some will question, some may even resent it. Let them. Your purpose is not to explain yourself, but to live fully, to move through the world with dignity and grace, and to shock everyone simply by existing as the fullest version of yourself. You will be tested. The world does not easily yield to self-mastery. Old habits will whisper, old fears will cling, and old voices will attempt to pull you back into the familiar cycle of self-doubt and distraction. Resist them. You are stronger than you know. You are resilient beyond measure. Each step you take toward yourself is a step away from mediocrity, from the shadows of comparison, from the weight of trying to fit into a mold that was never made for you. Remember, focus is not a destination, it is a practice, a continuous tending of the soul. There will be days when the world seems louder, when doubts rise like storms, when the pull of distraction is strong, but you will rise higher again and again. With each return to yourself, with each gentle act of self-care, with each courageous decision to honor your own path, You solidify a power that cannot be shaken. True power begins when you stop seeking validation and start nurturing your own growth. Too long have we lived as if our worth depended on the nods of approval, the fleeting smiles, the quiet judgments of others. Too long have we measured ourselves with borrowed rulers, comparing our shadows to the highlights of someone else's life. But there is a different kind of strength, a kind that is quiet, steady, and unshakable. It begins when you turn your gaze inward and see not flaws to hide, but seeds to cultivate, not shortcomings to lament, but potential waiting for your attention. When you stop looking outward for permission, for praise, for affirmation, you open the door to a world where you are free to grow without fear, without apology, without hesitation. Growth is not linear. It is a river that wins, that bends, that falls and rises again. Each stumble, each failure, each moment of doubt becomes water that nourishes the roots of your becoming. To nurture your own growth is to water yourself with patience, with forgiveness, with love that does not depend on anyone else's consent. You must learn to stand in your own light, to honor the small victories as fiercely as the great ones, to recognize that every step you take toward understanding yourself, toward building your skills, toward refining your mind and heart, is a step into power that no one can take from you. And when you do this, when you make the conscious decision to invest in yourself, the world begins to notice, not in the clamor of loud announcements, but in the quiet awe that comes from witnessing someone who moves through life with purpose and clarity. There is a magnetism in self-mastery that cannot be faked, that cannot be borrowed. People will feel it even if they cannot name it. They may question it, they may challenge it, they may try to pull you back into the familiar cycles of seeking approval, but you will stand firm because the foundation beneath you is built by your own hands. Every book you read, every skill you practice, every habit you nurture, every fear you confront becomes a brick in the fortress of your power. It is a slow, deliberate, sacred process, and it cannot be rushed. You must honor the pace of your own becoming, for there is a rhythm to personal growth that does not align with the calendars of the world. There will be days of doubt, moments when the old habit of looking outward for validation tugs at your heart. But each time you choose to focus on yourself, to nurture your own spirit, you fortify the truth that your value does not require confirmation. True power begins not in what others see, but in what you cultivate within, in the quiet moments when no one is watching. When the only eyes that matter are your own, witnessing the care, the diligence, and the courage with which you nurture your life. The most radical act is choosing yourself over everyone else's expectations. From the moment we are born, the world begins to layer us with rules, suggestions, and ideas about who we should be, what we should want, and how we should move through life. Family, friends, teachers, neighbors, society at large, they all have opinions, all have standards, all have maps that do not belong to us. And so, we spend years carrying the weight of expectations that are not ours, bending, reshaping, performing, molding ourselves into someone acceptable, someone digestible, someone understandable. But the most radical act, the most courageous act of rebellion, is to step away from those expectations and turn fully toward yourself, to listen to the whisper of your own heart, to honor the quiet urgings of your own spirit, even when it goes against the grain, even when it confuses the world around you. Choosing yourself is not arrogance, it is not selfishness, it is wisdom. It is saying to yourself, I matter. My path matters. My becoming matters. It is refusing to measure your life by the yardsticks of others, refusing to shrink yourself to fit into boxes that were never meant to hold your light. When you choose yourself, you are making a declaration that your soul has value, that your dreams are worthy, that your time and energy are precious. And there will be resistance. There will be voices that question your decisions, voices that insist you must conform, must compromise, must surrender your authenticity for comfort, for ease, for approval. Listen to them with kindness, but do not let them sway you. Your commitment is to your own growth, your own clarity, your own life lived deliberately and fully. Choosing yourself often feels like walking a narrow path that few understand. It can be lonely at times because not everyone will cheer your independence. Not everyone will admire the discipline and courage it takes to prioritize your own journey. But in that solitude, there is freedom. There is a lightness of being that comes from knowing that every choice, every step, every moment of focus is yours alone. You begin to see clearly where your energy belongs and where it does not. You learn to let go of what drains you, of relationships that diminish you, of obligations that are not aligned with your own growth. In the space created by choosing yourself, you discover who you truly are, what you truly want, and what you are capable of achieving. The radical act of self-prioritization does not isolate you from the world. It equips you to move through it with power, with dignity, and with integrity. It allows you to give from a place of fullness rather than scarcity, to love without desperation, to speak without fear, and to live without apology. When the world witnesses a person who has chosen themselves over the weight of external expectations, it is often shocked, not by defiance, not by rebellion, but by the quiet, unwavering presence of someone who has found their own center, their own voice, their own power. Healing your own wounds illuminates the path for others without you having to speak. Every scar you carry, every ache you have endured, every moment when your heart was heavy with disappointment or fear has a purpose beyond the pain. These experiences, though difficult, are not to be buried or ignored. They are to be honored, to be understood, and to be transformed. When you turn toward your own wounds instead of running from them, when you sit with the discomfort and examine it with honesty and compassion, you begin to uncover strength that had been waiting patiently within you. Healing is not a straight road. It is a journey of patience, of self-kindness, of willingness to face the parts of yourself that you once avoided. And as you heal, you radiate a quiet light, a light that does not demand attention, a light that cannot be hidden, a light that offers guidance simply by existing. You do not need to explain. You do not need to showcase. You do not need to announce your triumphs. The act of healing itself is a form of teaching, a subtle lesson to the world that resilience is born in the places we once feared. People will see it in the way you carry yourself, in the calmness of your voice, in the steadiness of your gaze. They will sense that you have walked through fire and emerged unbroken, and they will find courage in your example. Healing your wounds does not mean erasing your past. It means acknowledging it, embracing it, and using it as fuel for your growth. Each layer of pain you face and transform becomes a bridge, a pathway for others to see that recovery is possible. That strength is not the absence of struggle, but the ability to rise in spite of it. You begin to notice the subtle changes, the ease with which you forgive yourself, the gentleness you extend toward others, the patience with which you approach life's challenges. Your presence becomes a balm, not because you intend it, but because you have cultivated wholeness within. And in this process, you also discover boundaries that protect your energy, that allow you to preserve your own peace without guilt or hesitation. You learn to distinguish between what deserves your attention and what does not, between what nourishes your soul and what drains it. In choosing to tend to your own wounds, you reclaim power that may have felt lost, and in doing so, you inspire others to seek the same reclamation. There is a quiet revolution in self-healing, a transformation that ripples outward, affecting not just your life but the lives of those around you, in ways unseen, in ways unspoken, in ways that are profound and enduring. Healing your own wounds illuminates the path for others without you having to speak. Every scar you carry, every ache you have endured, every moment when your heart was heavy with disappointment or fear, has a purpose beyond the pain. These experiences, though difficult, are not to be buried or ignored. They are to be honored, to be understood, and to be transformed. When you turn toward your own wounds instead of running from them, when you sit with the discomfort and examine it with honesty and compassion, you begin to uncover strength that had been waiting patiently within you. Healing is not a straight road. It is a journey of patience, of self-kindness, of willingness to face the parts of yourself that you once avoided. And as you heal, you radiate a quiet light, a light that does not demand attention, a light that cannot be hidden, a light that offers guidance simply by existing. You do not need to explain, you do not need to showcase, you do not need to announce your triumphs. The act of healing itself is a form of teaching, a subtle lesson to the world that resilience is born in the places we once feared. People will see it in the way you carry yourself, in the calmness of your voice, in the steadiness of your gaze. They will sense that you have walked through fire and emerged unbroken, and they will find courage in your example. Healing your wounds does not mean erasing your past. It means acknowledging it, embracing it, and using it as fuel for your growth. Each layer of pain you face and transform becomes a bridge, a pathway for others to see that recovery is possible. That strength is not the absence of struggle, but the ability to rise in spite of it. You begin to notice the subtle changes, the ease with which you forgive yourself, the gentleness you extend toward others, the patience with which you approach life's challenges. Your presence becomes a balm, not because you intend it, but because you have cultivated wholeness within. And in this process you also discover boundaries that protect your energy, that allow you to preserve your own peace without guilt or hesitation. You learn to distinguish between what deserves your attention and what does not, between what nourishes your soul and what drains it. In choosing to tend to your own wounds, you reclaim power that may have felt lost, and in doing so you inspire others to seek the same reclamation. There is a quiet revolution in self-healing, a transformation that ripples outward, affecting not just your life but the lives of those around you, in ways unseen, in ways unspoken, in ways that are profound and enduring. Quiet focus breeds unstoppable strength that shocks those who doubted you. There is a difference between noise and purpose, between frantic motion and deliberate action. Many spend their lives shouting, proving, performing, trying to show the world how capable they are. But the true power lies in stillness, in the quiet dedication to one's own path, in the unseen work that no one applauds, that no one notices, that no one measures. When you concentrate on your own growth, when you nurture your mind, your heart, and your spirit with consistency and care, you build a strength that is both subtle and unassailable. This strength does not rely on the admiration of others. It does not need validation or recognition. It is forged in the solitude of discipline, in the moments when no one is watching, in the repeated decisions to rise, to improve, to persevere. People may doubt you, underestimate you, or even dismiss your quiet determination. Let them. They do not see the hours, the sacrifices, the intentional steps that you take to cultivate your own excellence. And that is the beauty of it. Your power is hidden until it reveals itself in ways that astonish. Not because you seek attention, but because your focus has allowed your talent, your clarity, your strength to mature in its own time. There is a subtle shock in watching someone who has devoted themselves to their own mastery succeed, while others remain caught in distraction and comparison. The shock is not in boasting. It is not in spectacle. It is in the undeniable truth that someone who tended their own life with care has created results that cannot be ignored. This is the gift of quiet focus. It transforms potential into reality, effort into excellence, intention into impact. You will notice the difference in how you approach challenges, how you respond to setbacks, how you handle criticism. There is a calm confidence that arises when you know that you are doing your work faithfully, when you trust the process and honor your own journey. No storm can shake you, no criticism can derail you, no distraction can pull you from your path, because your foundation is built on deliberate attention and persistent effort. And as your quiet focus grows, the world takes notice, often in disbelief. Those who once doubted your abilities, those who counted you out, those who underestimated your potential, find themselves astonished by what you have accomplished simply by tending to yourself. Your strength becomes a mirror, a lesson in the power of consistency, patience, and self-prioritization. You do not need to explain yourself, to justify your choices, or to defend your methods. The results, the presence, the life you have built speaks louder than any words ever could. It is the quiet revolution, the silent mastery, the subtle force that reshapes not only your destiny, but also the perception of those who watch, unable to comprehend how someone can move so deliberately, so purposefully, and so powerfully without drawing attention to the effort behind it. Every small investment in yourself compounds into a life that amazes silently. It begins with the choices that seem insignificant at first, The moments that appear ordinary, the decisions that no one notices but you. Waking up a few minutes earlier to read, to reflect, to breathe deeply before the noise of the world arrives. These moments are more powerful than any grand gesture. Choosing nourishment over convenience, patience over impulse, self-respect over approval. These are not small acts. They are the quiet architecture of a life that grows steadily, invisibly, until one day the world stands in awe, wondering how you became so whole, so capable, so radiant. People tend to search for shortcuts, for instant recognition, for the applause that validates effort. But the truth is, the most extraordinary transformations are the ones that happen in silence, in solitude, in moments that no one else sees. Every step you take toward yourself, every habit you cultivate, every skill you refine, every thought you master is a deposit into a bank of personal power that grows exponentially, quietly, without fanfare. There is magic in consistency, in tending to yourself day after day, in honoring your own worth when the world is too loud to notice. The act of investing in yourself is radical because it requires patience, discipline, and trust. Trust in the unseen results, in the invisible work, in the process of becoming. It is not flashy, it does not seek admiration, yet it yields outcomes that astonish, that shock, that cannot be ignored. Consider the person who reads while others scroll, who practices craft while others procrastinate, who cultivates kindness while others criticize, who strengthens mind and body while others stagnate. These small, seemingly mundane acts accumulate like water carving canyons, like roots gathering nutrients deep beneath the soil, like a candle burning steadily in the darkness. Over time, the power of this quiet cultivation becomes undeniable. People may not notice the steps you took, the sacrifices you made, the moments when you chose yourself over distraction, over temptation, over comfort, but they will witness the results. They will see the calm confidence in your demeanor, the ease with which you navigate challenges, the resilience that seems to rise naturally from within. They will feel the subtle magnetism of someone who has invested deeply in their own growth, and they will be astonished, often without understanding why. The most extraordinary lives are not built on grand declarations or dramatic events, but on the accumulation of small, intentional actions carried out with purpose. Each choice matters, each habit matters, each decision to prioritize yourself, to honor your needs, to cultivate your mind, body, and soul, compounds into a force that shapes your destiny. You may be tempted to compare your pace to others, to question whether your effort is enough, to seek immediate results. Resist this temptation. Growth is not a race. It is a sacred unfolding, a slow, deliberate rise toward your own potential. Each day you invest in yourself, even in ways unseen, strengthens the foundation of your life. You learn patience, resilience, and self-trust. You discover the depth of your own capacity, the expansiveness of your own mind, the beauty of your own heart. You learn to value your own energy and to protect it, to say no when necessary, to walk away from what no longer serves you, to create boundaries that allow your life to flourish. Over time, these choices compound, your skills improve, your clarity deepens, your confidence solidifies. You begin to move through the world with a quiet assurance, an energy that radiates from a place of cultivated strength, not performative ego. And the world notices. Friends, colleagues, acquaintances, even strangers sense the subtle power in someone who has tended themselves with such care. They may not know the effort behind it, the patience, the discipline, the sacrifices made in solitude, but they feel the difference. And as they feel it, they are drawn to it, sometimes questioning it, sometimes inspired by it, always surprised by it. There is a quiet revolution in living this way. The act of investing in yourself is a declaration of your own value, a demonstration that you understand the weight of your own presence, that you honor the potential you carry, that you refuse to be diminished by distraction, by judgment, by comparison. It is a power that shocks not with noise, not with aggression, but with the undeniable truth of someone who has chosen themselves consistently, patiently, lovingly, day after day. And the beauty of it is that the more you invest in yourself, the more naturally you inspire others, the more effortlessly you influence your surroundings, the more your life becomes a testament to the extraordinary effects of small, deliberate choices, quietly accumulated into greatness. Freedom is found not in escaping the world, but in mastering your inner world. Many believe that liberation comes from running, from leaving behind the noise, the responsibilities, the pressures, the people who weigh on them. They search for freedom in distance, in isolation, in escape. But true freedom is not about fleeing, it is about turning inward, about claiming the vast territory within your own mind, your own heart, your own spirit. It is about knowing yourself with such clarity, honoring yourself with such devotion, and commanding your inner life with such discipline that the external world loses its power to disturb, to unsettle, to diminish you. Mastering your inner world means facing the chaos within, the doubts, the fears, the insecurities that have been quietly shaping your choices for years. It means sitting with the questions that have no easy answers, confronting the shadows you have avoided, and embracing the full spectrum of who you are, including the parts you once rejected. This mastery is not instantaneous. It is a daily practice, a commitment to observe your thoughts without judgment, to regulate your emotions without suppression, and to act from a place of grounded intention rather than reaction. When you cultivate this inner sovereignty, you begin to see the world differently. The criticisms that once stung now bounce off. The disappointments that once crushed now pass through. And the chaos that once overwhelmed now becomes a background hum to which you are indifferent. Freedom, in its true sense, is a state of being, not a circumstance. It is a profound awareness that you are the steward of your own life, the author of your own story, and the keeper of your own peace. No storm outside can uproot what is firmly planted within. The person who has mastered their inner world moves through life with grace, resilience, and clarity. They respond to challenges with calm determination, not with panic or reactivity. They see opportunities where others see obstacles, solutions where others see dead ends, and light where others see darkness. And as they move through the world, their presence is magnetic, not because it demands attention, but because it emanates certainty, confidence, and completeness. People notice this freedom, even if they cannot articulate it. They feel the calm, steady energy of someone who has claimed themselves, and they are drawn to it. Some may envy it, some may misunderstand it, some may even fear it, but the essence of mastery is not dependent on their perception. It is rooted in self-possession, in a life conducted with integrity, intention, and self-respect. Mastery of the inner world requires courage. You must confront the narratives that have held you captive, the limiting beliefs, the past traumas, the voices that once dictated who you were allowed to be. You must choose daily to step into the fullness of your own power, to act in alignment with your values, and to refuse to be swayed by fleeting opinions or external pressures. This is where true freedom lies, in the ability to respond rather than react, to shape rather than be shaped, to create rather than merely exist. It is a subtle, profound revolution that begins within and radiates outward. Those who have achieved it move through relationships, work, and community not with domination, but with influence, not with control, but with presence. They understand that the only power they truly need is the power over themselves, the power to regulate their thoughts, their emotions, their actions, and their energy. As you cultivate this inner mastery, you begin to notice how the world shifts around you. Conflicts lose their intensity, challenges lose their terror, and opportunities become clear. You operate from a place of inner alignment, where decisions are guided by wisdom rather than impulse, and where your peace is not contingent on circumstances, but on the solidity of your own character. This is liberation in its purest form, a freedom that no one can grant and no one can take away. It is the product of sustained attention to your inner life, of patient cultivation, and of unwavering commitment to yourself. And the beauty of this mastery is that it allows you to live fully, to love deeply, to give generously, and to move through the world with a lightness and confidence that is contagious, inspiring, and transformative. In this freedom, you are no longer at the mercy of external forces. You are sovereign, grounded, whole, and unshakable, able to navigate life's storms with dignity, to embrace life's joys with gratitude, and to be a living testament to the extraordinary power of claiming yourself completely,